Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast on software testing. Today's theme is testing the limits AI in quality assurance. I am Supriya Gonkar, your host and moderator, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about the common myths, challenges, and expectations from software testing and where AI fits in. I'm really excited to talk about this with our special guest today. We have Mark Creamer. He's the CEO and president of ConformIQ Holdings. And we have Matt Wynne. He is the BDD evangelist and co-author of Cucumber Book. Mark and Matt, thanks for joining us. I'm really looking forward to your viewpoints on this topic today. So let's get started. Mark, as a CEO, do you worry about AI taking over, or do you hear your customers talking about AI taking over? What's your thought on that?
Firstly, thanks, Supriya, for having us here today and have this discussion. I look forward to the interaction, with Matt and sharing ideas about what's kind of going on in the software testing arena and how Gen AI and AI may impact what's going on there. So thanks so much for having me. And regarding your question specifically, frankly, based on what I'm hearing from customers, I'm not. They're not worried about AI and what the impact of AI might be on testing, but they're actually more excited and somewhat infatuated by how Gen AI is going to solve all the testing problems in the world. And my take, frankly, is a little different. I imagine testers and operation folks could be very worried about their jobs, but the management is actually very excited about what Gen AI is going to do for enhancing, accelerating, and improving the software testing process in the SDLC environment. Now, from an AI standpoint, in terms of the way I see things, is AI, at least today, is definitely not a replacement for software testing. It's really more of an enhancement. And the question is, where is the best place to use AI for enhancing the software testing process. I think some of those ideas and thoughts will come out in the discussion today. But clearly, it can be used for test case generation. And interestingly, based on what's happened in software testing for years, there's types of AI, which we'll talk about, that is being used and has been used for years for optimization and test management, links to automation, and links to requirements, the correlation that needs to happen between the test cases and the creation of the concepts and ideas of what needs to be tested and what needs to be developed. So I see a lot of areas where AI can help significantly, and it has helped in the past. And getting back to kind of our discussion today is, why is BDD important and that approach important, and particularly in the formulation process of what it is we're building, how we build it, how we test it. I see opportunities to apply AI there. And so, Matt, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's where I see the large language models that we're working with at the moment so much that everybody's playing with being valuable. I mean, my worries around AI are more like existential things, like where are we going to find all the energy from? We've already got a climate crisis. We should stop using so much oil and gas and coal, and these chips need lots and lots of power to run, right? So if we want to have these big models spinning away, we need to find the energy. It's things like that that worry me about it. I don't see these things taking over personally, but then I'm not a big expert on AI. I'm an expert more on testing, and where I see them being really good is you can train them well when you know what the right answer is, and what they're really bad at is kind of specifics and details, because they just guess, right? They're making statistical guesses at what might be the right answer and giving you something that looks likely. So I think they can help to sort of fill in gaps in something that's already existent. So for example, I'm using them quite a lot, or the company I work for is working with the idea of using them for legacy modernization projects, where you've got an existing system and what you need to do is wrap it with tests. Well, then in that situation, you have the right answer. The existing system will tell you how it already behaves. So you can run a test. You can try writing a test with a language model. You can run that test against the system. If it fails, the language model got it wrong and it needs to try again, right? So you can kind of work with it like that. I think where we're asking them to make up stuff for us, like generating test cases for a new system, I think that starts to get quite risky, because how do we know that it knows what we want the system to do? And that's what testers do, is help kind of communicate that the clarity between the people who know what they want the software to do and are paying for the software, and the people who are building it. That's the tester's job, is to sort of mediate between those two groups. And that's difficult for a machine to do, I think.
Interesting. So, what do you think, Matt, in not just software testing across the SDLC, where it makes more sense to leverage AI?
Well, they're good at the shape of things, right? They're good at the language models, at least, are good at writing stuff that sort of has the right structure. I mean, I'm finding on a daily basis the tools in the IDE for sort of auto completion are pretty good. Then they're not perfect, and they quite often hallucinate API methods that don't exist. So you're trying to solve a problem, the robot tells you that, oh, you can just call this method, and you try and call it, and it doesn't work, and then you look up the documentation, it turns out it never existed. So sometimes they'll tell you what you want to hear. But I think they can save us a bit of time, especially, I mean, I've had a lot of experience recently with like working on a project in a brand new programming language, and the robot is a great resource for, how do I do this in Bash or Elixir or PHP? If you're not familiar with the precise syntax of that language, you can get the sort of the shape of the new thing, and it'll help you, help get you started. So I think they can help people kind of building out the scaffolding of something that's new. So where in the software life cycle, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it helpful to make me a little bit quicker as a programmer. I think if we have to write documentation, I personally think of documentation as mostly a sort of necessary evil in the software development life cycle. Like our goal is to produce working software for people. Sometimes that software needs to come with documentation that explains what it does for people who are going to work on it in the future, or for the people that use it. And that kind of documentation can be a pain for humans to create. And actually, it seems like the LLMs are pretty good at doing that, or at least they can give you a first draft, which you can go through and correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. You both spoke about AI in software development and testing. For our users, could you summarize the various types of AI present in software development testing today?
Yeah, sure. I think that's an interesting question, Supriya, because as I mentioned earlier, AI has been around a long time, and I won't go into the details of that in terms of my personal experience, but the point is, it's been used in this space for quite a while. Even ConformIQ used it for natural language processing techniques, which is a form of AI, vision systems in terms of using vision systems to capture UIs for software applications that are being written. That technology has been around a long time. Robotic process automation has been around for years to help in automating repetitive processes and so on. Machine learning, a more sophisticated approach to AI that probably hasn't been used so much in software testing, but has been around. And then one aspect that actually ConformIQ has deployed and used for many years is symbolic AI, which is a technology that was developed by IBM to emulate chess playing. It was the Deep Blue technology that beat Garry Kasparov in chess, back in the I believe it's the early 90s. So this technology has been around for a long, long time. The question is, where does it fit? And now, of course, the new kid on the block, Gen AI, and how is that used, most effectively? And it can be used in a lot of areas, but to the point that Matt made earlier, it actually requires kind of an expert to provide some context for what it is you're trying to do. It's not going to go off and invent something that's particularly valued for on its own, for software testing. And Matt used the term, and I've heard it a number of times. Gen AI tends to hallucinate. It can come up with some brilliant ideas that make no sense at all. So these are some things that adopters of the technology need to be aware of and take into account when they're looking at deploying and using any types of AI. And we'll talk a little bit about how ConformIQ has done that with its products for years, and a little bit later in the conversation.
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, Gen AI is fairly new, and we hear the users are using it for generating test cases, making their life simpler. This is a question for Matt. Do you think these are the right use cases of Gen AI, or do you think it can do much better if what Mark mentioned, if trained or instructed better, this can really result, this can be a game changer. What do you think? What could be the possible use cases?
I don't know about game changer. I don't know. What I see it doing is giving us, the levers that we already have. It's making some of those levers a little bit longer so that we can get a bit more power out of them. I'm not sure about game changing. I don't know. I think there are, like I say, I mean, the legacy modernization case interests me. The other thing that interests me is I see lots of people who have these enormous test suites, like automated test suites that take maybe hours to run all of their tests. And something you talked about machine learning earlier, Mark, like something I was involved with about 10 years ago was a master's thesis that somebody was doing in London on test case prioritization, test case selection, where you're able to predict which of the automated test cases, or it could be manual, I guess, are likely to fail based on the changes that have been made to the code. I think that kind of thing could be really helpful for help, for guiding what we're using it for. But yeah, I think we're still at a stage right now where we have to try lots of things and see where it can have impact. I think we're sort of nearing a peak of a hype cycle right now, where everybody has been assuming that it was going to change everything. And maybe we're starting to realize it's not quite as revolutionary as that, but there will still be some really useful things. I saw Eric Evans, the author of the domain driven design book, speaking about this a few weeks ago in Europe. And the way he's thinking about it, and I think this is really interesting, is like, rather than it being a product in itself, what it becomes is a capability of other products. So within your existing products, there are going to be places where you can offer a user a prompt, or you ask a user a series of questions that can let you build a prompt, and then you can go off and query a language model to get a useful answer back. So if you're kind of constraining the types of prompts that you give to the large language model, rather than just giving users open chat prompts, that's where it can start to be quite interesting. You can build in capabilities into your whatever your workflow is that will start to make use of some of those features of these big models.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And Mark, what do you think? Their software testing industry has seen a lot of innovation. There are a lot of tools available, a lot of techniques available. Do you think Gen AI can contribute or replace innovation?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But I like the approach that Matt just mentioned. It needs to be in the context of something that's reasonably well defined, and frankly, that's something that we are doing. In the context of our tools today, it's a vision we have for certainly the enhancing the collaboration component of the BDD process, and frankly, it is a technology where Gen AI can generate test cases using some of the technology that's been around for years, like symbolic AI. You can not only generate those test cases, you can do the things that Matt just mentioned, which are do it efficiently, optimized, focused in terms of risk-based, or generate those test cases in the context of being much more efficient based on knowledge of the system that you're testing, and that is something that's been available for years with the concept of symbolic AI. So you've got the Gen AI, which doesn't necessarily operate in the context of the systems that you're building, but you have other tools that do take advantage of that, and it's to Matt's point, you have the ability to combine the two to get the best of both, and leverage Gen AI in environments where it can deliver significant value without some of the risk that we talked about, particularly the hallucination.
Yeah, right. So we spoke about two important things in this conversation about which are very, very applicable to software testing: innovation and collaboration. Matt, what do you think are the best ways to promote innovation and collaboration, more specifically in between the teams in the organization?
Yeah, innovation is interesting. So a lot of companies do these kind of events periodically, right? Where like hackathons. And I sort of have a little bit of a distaste for hackathons. Like, I don't like this idea that people should stay up late coding, not get any sleep. But I do think it's really great to create some space in people's schedules, maybe once a quarter or even once a month. I think that my organization does this once a month, where you basically give people free rein to do whatever it is they feel like. Because a lot of the people who are right at the coalface can see problems that's very difficult for people at, you know, more detached levels in the hierarchy to notice. And so a lot of really interesting innovation can come from people who are in touch with those problems and then given the space to explore them a little bit more. So I think trying to find a balance between you know, the day-to-day stuff that we have to do to keep the business running and creating safe spaces where people can just play and take risks and do stuff that's probably going to be a waste of time, but maybe it won't be. That's like, I think that's the best way to create innovation. And as far as collaboration goes, yeah, you know, we have this pattern from behavior-driven development of getting together. We talk about shifting testing left, right? So like having the testing happen before the development of the code happens. And we talk about doing that with the three amigos. So having some sort of product business domain expert, some sort of programmer person that's going to create the software, and ideally also someone who thinks about how to break the system, and get those three people together. So a sort of QA type figure, a programmer and a product owner, get them together before we're going to write the code for this next piece of functionality, get them to have a good conversation about, you know, if this was already done, how would we test it? How would we break it? What are the kinds of things that we haven't, looking for the things that we haven't seen yet, right? Like trying to find those, turn the unknown unknowns into known unknowns, so we can start to de-risk the work that we're doing. So yeah, you know, that kind of collaboration happens by getting people together. It doesn't have to be physically. These days we do a lot of stuff virtually and it can still work really well. There are a lot of great tools for collaborating online now. And yeah, making that kind of part of the culture of the organization is I think is important. I think a lot of incentives that people have in these organizations are very individualized. People get individualized bonuses rather than being rewarded as a team. I think I did a lot of work with Matthew Skelton last year, the author of Team Topologies, and he has this like really clear message in that book from the patterns that he's observed at all these, you know, successful big tech companies, is that the team has to be the unit of delivery. You don't look at individuals, you look at a team and how's the team functioning. And a lot of our organizations, especially in the West, are really focused on individuals. And I think that actually kind of comes at the detriment of promoting collaboration, because if we think about people too much as individuals and reward them individually, or punish them individually, we're not giving them that message that actually it's their combined effort that counts. It's the way they work together that counts.
Yeah, true. And Mark, what about you?
Maybe bringing it back a little bit to where AI might help in the collaboration component. First of all, agree with Matt in terms of the collaboration is the key component of success, but I also believe that there's some things that where AI particularly in the formulation process of what it is we're building, how it's done, and bringing the team together can effectively be used in a BDD type process to define the requirements that if formulated in a consistent way, which the Gen AI can help do, that can help drive not only the business requirements, the documentation you talked about, but the testing framework, and obviously the well-defined requirements for the development. So using AI in that collaboration process, I think is something that can be very helpful. And to the concept that you talked about in terms of shifting left, we conform it kind of like, rather than shifting left, it's really starting right, getting the team together and defining things properly up front, and having a formulation process that can be driven throughout the entire SDLC is something that can provide huge productivity. And that's kind of how we see the world at ConformIQ, where we're integrating the BDD process and providing some tools to help there, and providing that AI-assisted formulation process to drive an extremely efficient, highly optimized testing process, as part of the solutions ConformIQ provides.
Yeah, okay, all right. And Matt, some of the approaches that you mentioned, do you think this is just in theory, or are there tools in the market which are offering these kind of approaches? Can the users benefit if they implement a tool?
Well, I mean, I'm not in the business of testing out, people's software tools much at the moment, commercial software tools. Everybody's got AI on their homepage now, right? How valuable those features are, I guess, you might need to use the tools yourself and figure out for yourself. I know there are a few companies that have been around for years that have been doing, or relatively years, they've been doing adding features around being able to recognize specific elements in a web page or on a user interface, in order for a test to be able to interact with them, and obviously using these AI statistical models can help to make those tests less brittle, because rather than looking for an exact set of pixels or looking at an exact position on the screen, you can have a slightly fuzzier match for the thing that you want to click. I'm sure those kinds of things are very useful if that's the type of tests that you're automating. I think, I mean, the use cases that we see out there, right? We've talked about a lot of them already. Mark's been through a lot here, but like, yeah, generating test cases, generating data for your tests, trying to reduce those flaky tests, as I talked about, like test case selection, maybe even healing tests. If we know the test is supposed to pass, can we like manipulate it and see if we can improve it? I'm skeptical. So I have had people come to me to suggest ideas around, like, what if Gherkin, which is the syntax that we write BDD specifications in for Cucumber, like automated tests that Cucumber is going to run. What if that could become the language that you specify software in, and then the robots just write the code that makes it pass? I think like maybe we'll be there in, I don't know, 5-10 years time. That could be amazing. If all the humans had to do, like as a long time test-driven development practitioner, the hard bit always for me is writing the test, because when you write the test, you have to decide what do you want the software to do, and that seems to be where the human decision making comes into it. If it was possible for a million monkeys to go and then keep typing in code until that test passed, and that could happen rapidly so that I could work in a fast iterative cycle, that'd be incredible. And I'd be interested to get there. I think we'd be able to create some amazing stuff if we could get there, but I don't think we're there yet. So yeah, I think we're still at a point where we're figuring it out.
This is interesting. Mark, do you think this is something that you're doing in ConformIQ?
So the way Matt just described it, no, we do not have a million monkeys. And that's not the plan. Getting back to the consistency of defining what it is you want to build, that using that Gherkin language to drive, what we're focused on is the testing process, is something that it involves a lot of pieces to get there. And one is developing that language in a way that it can be used throughout the entire SDLC, through a co-piloting approach. AI makes sense there. Um, you know, now, once you've developed it in a way that it can be used effectively for testing, there's still a lot of environmental, aspects of what it is you're building that aren't captured in that language. Am I doing it for a mobile device? Am I doing it for a UI, or is it happening in the background at the API level? I mean, there's a lot of information that's missing there that can't particularly be used for automated testing until you have some of those details figured out. So how do you incorporate in your process getting all that information to the point where you can automate those tests versus run them manually? So that's what ConformIQ has been focused on, for years. We automatically generate the scripts. As the scripts breaks, there's ways for self-healing, which AI can help there. But if you're wanting to just ensure that you have functional coverage at 100%, and are optimizing those tests for a specific test run. That's something that ConformIQ has been using AI for years. So there's automating that entire process from beginning to end using Gen AI. Frankly, I don't see that for years because there's so many components in a very focused area that can be enhanced by it, but not replaced by it, which is kind of what we see as a fundamental assumption in terms of the testing process, at least for the foreseeable future. And but on the other hand, we're excited about figuring out how and where we can apply Gen AI and other types of AI, like natural language processing, vision systems, and so on, in the testing process to if starting right with a BDD process, you can have a predictable flow from the beginning to the end to take advantage of some of these intelligent technologies that are new, like Gen AI, or been around for quite a while, with symbolic AI and vision systems and so on. So we're excited about the opportunity to leverage what we have and embrace the new as part of any efficient, highly productive solution that it can be available in this market.
I think, Supriya, if I can say something else, sort of more kind of grounded than a lot of the sort of hypothetical stuff that I've been talking about, at least. I think as well, I talked right at the beginning about how helpful I'd found it when I was working in new programming languages. And Mark, you've reminded me that so many of the people in the testing space are still on that journey from manual tests to automated tests. And many people are like writing their first automated tests. And that's very daunting. And there's a huge amount of technology to wrap your head around, and different programming languages and different tools that you can use. And I think one of the ways that these generative AI tools can help people in that situation is just to give them some guardrails, some good places to start from, and help get them set up for success. We've seen over the years that just giving people a kind of an empty text editor to write their gherkin scenarios in is very intimidating for a large proportion of people that would get benefit from working with those tools. And being able to give people some support and guidance through doing that, so that they can, like I say, get set up for success and find it easier to work with, I think it's going to be great, and bring more people along that journey from manual testing to automated testing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So now we are almost towards the end of this interesting discussion. In case, Mark, you spoke about Conform IQ's products. In case somebody wants to know more, somebody wants to do an evaluation, POC, do you support them? What is the best way to reach out to get that kind of guidance?
Yeah, please, reach out to Conformic at you know, or conformiq.com and uh, you know, ask for a demo. Ask for you know someone to follow up with you, or even download our software to evaluate it on your own, free evaluation. So in any case, we're excited about how our technology enables any software development company to start right and not necessarily just shift left. As part of that process with the collaboration, all the way through the end of the testing process.
All right. And I also want to let the audience know that in case you have some approach that you want to discuss, any specific use case, we would be talking about how AI can help in the next episode. And if you have any viewpoint that you want to discuss and be on the stage with Matt and Mark, you are welcome to do so. So just write to us at marketing@conformiq.com. And you never know, you could be part of the panelist in the next episode. All right. So thank you so much, Mark and Matt, for your interesting viewpoints. And I hope this podcast was informative for our viewers. And we'll come back with the next episode soon. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing us together. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.